Huh?
Hey, good morning. Can
Hi,
you see me?
I can see you.
Can,
Yeah, can you hear me?
can you hear me well?
Yeah, can you?
Oh, so good.
Good. What's your name?
You're very clear. My name is Odorico.
Otorico.
I
Nice
am,
to meet you.
I am, nice to meet you too. I am talking from Brazil,
Hey, very
and
nice, very nice.
it's a very great pleasure to talk with you. I think you can help me
Okay. Uh-huh.
in the very difficult goal of teaching how to speak English
English. Yeah.
and how to get my listening better.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, why do you want to learn to speak English?
Well, I've been studying English for such a long time, but always
Mhm,
by myself.
mhm,
And when I try to watch movies on television or Netflix,
mhm.
I have a great trouble in understanding what American people say.
Fair enough.
And I realized that I don't know nothing, that I don't anything in English. I don't know anything in English.
Fair enough.
So I have this goal to get my listening better and to learn how to create the phrases, how to understand the structure of English phrases.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Are you learning for for fun? Are you learning for I don't know, study or a job?
Well, for many years, I acted like a singer in a musical band here in Brazil,
Okay.
and I used to sing many songs in English.
Hmm.
So I tried to learn it well
Hmm.
because I have to show to my people or the people in the Paris
Hmm.
uh, the best English I could do at that moment, you know. And now I am retired. I'm 70 years old,
Hmm.
although I look so young.
Yeah.
And I think I need to learn English better to have the chance to watch movies and series without uh, reading the subtitles, etc. And I am sure that you can help in this task.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I think, with there's a certain point you learn the grammar, you learn basic vocabulary and things like that. And then you start to use it. That's really the best thing for development is using it naturally, using it normally. So just having conversations with friends or native English speakers like myself, just talking about anything, all sorts of different topics. Um, and that utility and using it every day actually um, I would say is the most beneficial thing and the best thing that you can do to not only
Mhm.
maintain your skills but also improve them. um, so yeah, we can definitely just work on some different aspects. Do you have any specific questions about English related things, so like idioms, phrases, any grammar points? We could also just have a conversation if you'd want today. It's up to you.
Yes, at the moment I am attending to an online course in Brazil
Okay.
uh, called the called Fluency Academy,
Oh.
which is very good, I think, and they give us uh, many classes on Cambly, etc.
Mhm.
So I have many difficulties, and sometimes in grammar, sometimes in pronunciation, because
Mhm.
the American English is so difficult in this part. When I start learning English, it was the British accent, and so it's easiest to me
Mhm.
because we don't have that R so complicated. Taylor,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
example. Uh, but I think you can do what you think it's interesting to me.
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
how
Alright.
to get my English better.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ask your questions, I'll try to answer.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
First of all, I'd like to know how to pronounce your name. Is Kay?
Okay. Yep. That's it.
Kay.
Just like that. Yeah.
And why are you living in Italy at the moment?
In Italy? I don't live in Italy. I live in Australia.
Yeah, I understood that you live in Italy.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So
I
you're
visited. I've only ever visited Italy, but I live in
uh,
Australia right now.
in Australia. And because did you decided to do that?
Um, Honestly, for no real reason. It was just good timing, I think.
Hmm.
I was studying at the time, and my time in school was ending, and I had to figure out what I was going to do next. Where I was going
Hmm.
to go, what I was going to do for work. Um, and the opportunity to move to Australia for a little bit presented itself at the right time. And so I finished up school, took a little while to work and make some plans, and then I
Hmm.
just moved out here. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Have you ever seen the kangaroos over there?
Have I seen the what? The kangaroos, yes, actually, yeah. Um, I don't see them very often anymore, but when I
Hmm.
first got here, yeah, I'd say I saw them relatively often, like more in like the like suburbs. We didn't really see them very often in the city. I never saw them in the city actually, but in the suburbs, if we were going somewhere or driving, around in some sort of open areas, yeah, you could just see them hanging out. My friend actually,
Yes.
her parents live across from this big field,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can just see them hanging out there. So yeah, yeah, actually,
Hmm. So do you live in Sydney or another great city?
I live in Melbourne, in the very
Melbourne.
very southern part of the country. Hmm. But
I used to know that the climate over there is very hot,
yeah,
warm, like in Brazil. Is that
yeah,
true?
very hot, very hot and dry though. We don't have the humidity the way that you would in Brazil, but the heat, yes, we still have it. Actually, we're in our summertime right now, like you are, I think. And it was
Hmm.
it was like 37 degrees the other day. Um, so it was pretty hot,
Uh,
and I'm
right.
I'm not a hot weather person, so yeah, it's kind of gross, but that's okay. You know.
So it's say, so it's the same in Brazil.
Mhm.
And where I live in the northeast part of Brazil, a very dry region and very
Yeah,
warm. So 37 degrees centigrade is
mhm.
just the same you are having over there.
Yeah, yeah. It was
When I make a mistake, and I'm sure I'm making too much mistakes, please correct me.
okay. Yeah, we'll do.
Okay.
We'll do. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah. So it's
what's your job over there?
right now I'm an English
Do you
teacher.
work English teacher?
Hmm.
So you have a regular job in a school
No,
or
I
just
don't
in
work.
Cambly?
I don't work in person at all. I do work online. I tutor here on Cambly, but I also work
Mm-hmm.
outside of the platform. Cambly is more casual. You have um, like different students and different things like that. But I also tutor, so I teach English to non-native speakers, and I also tutor native English speakers in different subjects. So kids or college students, I can teach some or not teach, but tutor in like basic math, history, geography, simple things like that, helping with essays, but only if they already speak English. So I don't know how to teach
Uh,
any of those subjects or help any of those subjects in any other language, just in English. So yeah.
yes, and I think you are doing it very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's very
Well,
interesting to me.
let
So
me ask you one more question.
mhm,
Let me ask you one more question. When
mhm,
you went to Australia, did you
mhm.
take your family with you?
Nope. They're all in the United States. So they live,
Mm,
they're kind of spread
don't you
out
feel
actually. So,
don't you feel alone over there?
no. It's not the first time. Honestly, it's not the first time that I've lived away from my family, and all of my family lives in. We did live in different places too. So,
Uh,
yeah, I'm kind of used to it. I've lived in the United Kingdom before, by
mhm,
myself, and I lived in Alaska in the U.S. by myself, Florida as well. Yeah, so I've lived in several places. So yeah, it's pretty normal for me. So
mhm.
it,
I think Alaska must be very different from the place where you are now.
yes, yes, it is. Alaska is more my type of place when it comes to the weather. Um, I like cold. I like snow. Um, I like wearing I like blankets and jackets, that kind of comfort, the breeze and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm definitely a fall and winter person. So Alaska is definitely more my style when it comes to weather, for sure.
I like to see the movies on Discovery
Mhm.
about Alaska,
Yeah, it's
and it's
pretty
very
close to normal.
interesting seeing that bears
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, fishing on the rivers.
Hmm.
Did you had did you have the opportunity to see that to
Yeah,
see it? Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
actually. Of course, you never want to get too close to them when they're
Mhm.
doing their thing. You stay as far away as you can, but also like don't start running or like make any sudden movements. But yeah, you can exist in coexist in harmony, I'd say. As long as you
Mhm.
don't do anything stupid, right? Don't try to reproach them or, you know, act like you're gonna
And
approach them or anything. But yeah, mostly okay.
so they don't try to attack people.
Not really, no. I mean, of course you have like bear attacks. They're not really aggressive actually. They will of course defend themselves, and of course like with animals their instincts, like even though you may not have any intent, they don't really know any of that. And so they'll go based off of their instincts of whether or not they think you're a threat. So if they think you're a threat, then yes, they will try and come after you, or if they're hungry or motivated in a certain way, yeah. But they're not, I wouldn't say they're inherently aggressive towards people. If you see a bear, do your best to just stay calm, right? Don't make any sudden or crazy movements. Don't approach it or anything. And try your best to get away as slowly as possible and as calmly as possible as well, so that they don't accidentally think that you're trying to attack them. Um, Moose are actually more aggressive, I would say, than bears are. So, yeah, a moose is more likely to just charge you just because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, whereas a bear might be more likely to just walk on by, kind of thing. So, um, yeah,
Let's see.
really not that bad. Just an awareness of the world around you, the wilderness. Just keep your eyes open, pay attention. But also, depending on where you live, you don't necessarily see them very often either. So,
Yes, you have to keep your eyes open even on the streets, I think.
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
bear bears won't really come into town very often. Like it's kind of rare that you'll see them in town. But you might see them like in your like at your house. Especially if you have
Mhm.
woods near your house, if there's like any sort of like forest area near your home, you might have a chance like in the spring and summertime to see bears out there. But in the
Yeah.
wintertime, you won't see
I,
them. You can see moose
mhm.
though.
Okay, I was referring to the human beast that
Yeah. Yeah.
that li-
Yeah.
that live on the streets, even in
Yeah.
Brazil. I think that in USA too.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you vote this year in Trump or Biden?
Did I do what this year?
Did you vote?
Did I vote this year? I did vote this year. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
you can vote from a distance. They call it absentee ballot. But yeah, yeah, I can vote from here. Last election,
I
actually, I was in Scotland. I wasn't in the country last time we had an election either. So yeah.
I am sure you voted in Biden.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% did.
uh,
So
Trump, I think, is a fool like the Brazilian president at the moment, Bolsonaro.
yeah. Yeah.
He denies denies the pandemic.
Hmm.
He denied the disease,
Hmm.
and so many Brazilians are dying
Mm.
at the
Yeah.
moment. Just about 160,000 people lost his
Yeah.
lives, and it's something that sometimes we haven't included to let the tears roll
Mm.
down the face.
Hmm.
It's very,
Yeah, we've 150,000 cases a day, I think, in the United States right now. 150,000 new cases a day. So,
mhm.
a very different situation than here
Well,
in Australia.
mhm. Well, in your large experience in teaching people all over the world,
Mhm.
what do you think could be the best way to me to increase my listening?
Best way to increase listening,
My listening.
listening, understanding. Um, so obviously, speaking and the different aspects go hand in hand, right? And I always say you can improve your skills that you want with the skills that you already have. With listening, honestly, I would go with um, videos, television, media. Use any sort of English media that you have available. Watching a television show, listening to the radio, even. In the beginning, if you're not entirely comfortable with um, just the normal or natural speed of things, choose something like the news or a speech. There's actually a website. It's called TED Talks or TED.com, I think. But they have TED Talks, and those types of speeches, it's all in English, and they're speaking to an audience, and it's like normal and regular English, but it's not like a conversation type of English, so they don't necessarily speak as quickly. And sometimes they take a little bit more time, have more pauses, and explain things just a little bit more because they're trying to speak to a wider audience. Rather than a TV show where there's just dialogue between two characters. So as far as recognizing words and things, TED Talks might be a little easier to understand. Complicated as far as the topic is concerned. So you have to, kind of understand different topics. But you can find topics that you do like or are interested in, and then those discussions will be a little bit easier to follow. So maybe not understand, but a little easier to follow as far as the English is concerned. And they're also transcripted too. So if you see a
Mhm.
video that you like, you can read and follow along with exactly what they're saying at exactly the same time, and then go back and maybe read it out loud yourself and just to practice that way. And then,
Yes.
TV shows, even children's shows, sounds a little weird. You said you're 70 years old already and retired, but yeah, pick up a cartoon. They're very easy and simple because they're, designed for children, and children don't have the same level as, an adult would or someone in college. So they keep the topics simple and they keep the English simple because children haven't gotten that far yet. And so, it's kind of at that same level as a new English speaker. They use basic topics, simple English, and they won't speak too quickly or have anything too complicated because they
Mhm.
want the kids to be able to follow along. So,
Mhm.
yeah, those are my first steps.
And what about audiobooks? Do you think it can help?
Yeah, yeah, audiobooks too, actually, and kind of for the same reasons as the speeches, right? Because it's not necessarily about the dialogue. You have to be able to understand what's happening and follow the story. So yes, absolutely, audiobooks would definitely help. Um, Even if
Some,
you don't
some,
necessarily understand everything, just the words, for sure.
okay, okay.
Hmm.
Some days ago, I was listening to Obama's speech, and I was able to understand many things he said. But when I go to watch CNN, for example, I don't have the same ability to understand why this kind of thing occurs.
Fair enough. Um, well, one kind of thing is that reading. So you said like Obama was giving a speech to the general public, right? Versus the news is kind of, it's definitely reported and they're telling you what happened in certain situations, but the language they use is more of a, it's like, it's faster paced and it's more of a conversation based
Mhm.
situation rather than a speech. You'll write a speech differently
Mhm.
than you would write a television show or anything that's designed to just be spoken. Because you could get a copy of Obama's speech and read it as well, and so it has to read well as be spoken well.
Mhm.
And so there's a little bit of which is also why I mentioned, with audiobooks too, they might be a little easier to understand than a television show
Mhm.
because the book is designed to be, and the way it's being read, it's not necessarily just for that like quickness or fluidity of the conversation.
Mhm.
When you read out loud, for example, if you're reading a news story, um, when you read it out loud, you have to read for the comprehension of the words on the page rather than just kind of coming up with what you're saying. And like, of course, they have a teleprompter, but it's more about dialogue, is kind of what that is for news rather than a speech.
Mhm.
So, yeah, different kind of audience, I'd say, and different situation, which is why it can be a little harder. So,
I understand. I understand. Well, what kind
yeah,
of stuff can you recommend to me?
what kind of stuff?
Things like sites or dictionary books, etc.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I will. I have some resources that I enjoy using. I'll just send them over. You see your chat box?
Yes, I see there is nothing
Oh,
over there yet.
nothing yet. Okay, good. So this is one of the first resources I use. Um, it's called Ingu. This is a very simple news site. The news articles are designed for new English speakers.
Uh,
So this is a good site to
Ingo,
go
Ingo
through.
Con, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yep. Read out loud yourself. They have new articles every day. You can read them out loud yourself, read them with tutors here online.
Hmm.
And as I said, different subjects and different things, so you can practice on your own. Here's another one. Here's my other one. Not that I saved it. That's okay. Here is that one I was talking about, the TED Talk site.
Hmm.
It's this one. This is that good one I was telling you about for listening. Everything is transcripted, or most things are transcripted, so you can follow along. And these videos last, from maybe like 2, 3 minutes to half an hour or a little longer, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to listen to.
Hmm.
And then,
Let.com talks.
mhm. And then for television shows, um, anything in general for cartoons. So I'll start with that.
Hmm.
Cartoons, anything basic cartoon would be good.
Hmm.
Animated shows. Of course, the level of animation is going to be a little different. So if you're watching something for like little children, like Dora or Blue's Clues, of course, it might be a little bit simplistic. But animated shows in general would be good, especially some of the early '90s ones. They're pretty basic. Um, for books, do you feel comfortable reading in English?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Do you feel comfortable reading in English?
Yes, I have no problem. I think that a book with easier text, easier easier text.
Mhm.
You
Fair enough.
Now
Fair
I
enough.
and I am
Well, one thing.
now I am reading the book "Girls Stop Apologizing."
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that can help with that is read it out loud. Say all of those words and read everything out loud. so you can get more comfortable and familiar with how things are supposed to sound as well as how they look.
Yes, my teachers,
That's something to
my
keep
teachers
in
in
mind.
my teachers in Brazil all say that we must read out loud
Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
It's a way to
yes, yes,
train your ears to understand the words in English.
yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well,
And these are some basic TV shows that I also really think are helpful.
I don't know if our time is running out. Can you talk something about the
Um,
collocations or contractions, reductions in English a part very difficult too. When we can link
mhm,
words
mhm.
together. Hmm.
Yeah, good question. That's always a tricky one because it also depends. So the kind of English you learn, it can sometimes depend on where you are.
Yeah.
So I speak it a little differently than people, in the United Kingdom would, or here in Australia even. I say things with a different inflection sometimes than some of my friends, um, or native Australian English speakers would.
Mm.
Um, Contractions and things, usually, like the most common way of using that is when you're talking about knots. So any word, these are the shows that I was mentioning. Any words that have a knot in them,
Mhm.
right? So things like do, can, have, will, um, things like that. That's usually when you use it most commonly. So you'd have don't, can't, haven't, won't,
Mm.
right? Um, that's, I'd say, the most popular use of contractions. You also have is, you know, he is going, she is going. So he's, she's,
She's going home. She's
are as
going.
well. Are is also another way, or another word that you use for contractions. Um, we're there, um, like this, are. And it's also very important whenever you have them, it's use the apostrophe because depending on the word, it can be
This last one, how do you pronounce this?
we're.
Where?
We're. We're going to the
Where?
store tomorrow. We're going to the store tomorrow. We're going to the store tomorrow. And the last one, there.
Mhm.
They're going to store tomorrow.
Very
We're going to
interesting.
get together. They're going to the store tomorrow. What else can you do for contractions? Oh,
So
you can do
you
are
can say
also with not. So
to
aren't.
they're gonna be
Yeah,
they're
yeah, you
gonna
can do
be
that.
out there. They're gonna be in the hospital. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are. Which is, you have to pay attention to because they are is one, but you also have there, like over there, and then you have their
Yes.
preposition, as in this is their book, right? So you have to make sure you know which word or phrase we're talking about because it changes. And if you use the wrong one, it doesn't make any sense. But they're all pronounced the same. So the important thing for that aspect is just spelling, writing it down. You have to know which case you're using because they sound the same.
Uh, so the pronounce is the same, but the meaning is very different.
Yep, yep. There, and there. They're pronounced all the same. Spelling is different and meaning is different. So, yeah.
And
Um,
let me see the pronounce of. Let me see here.
won't,
Is there some difference between these two
mhm,
words?
won't, and want. I won't
Uh,
go. I want to go.